Hi there.
Howdy.
Do you want me to share screen on that presentation? From this side? Oh, you're muted. Okay, I'll take the nodding as yes.
That would. Morning, y'all. Okay, so just so everyone's caught up, we're going to give people a few minutes to join. I think we'll start around 12:03. A lot of our parents are going to just be watching the recording afterwards. So any questions you guys have, I really welcome them at the end because I'm sure other people have similar questions. Okay, I think we are probably good to start. And as people come in, they can kind of catch up where we're at. And then we'll also be sending out this video recording at the end. But just to introduce myself, if I haven't met you yet, I think most parents I have, but my name is Lauren Hammond. I'm with the middle school group. I'm one of the guides helping to run the sailing workshop that Matt Griswold has put together. I'll ask Matt to kind of speak about himself a little bit, but he's got a ton of sailing experience. He's also a parent over at Texas Sports Academy. So that is why we are partnering with them for this workshop. But Matt, if you want to say a couple words.
Sure. So my name's Matt Griswold. And as Lauren mentioned, my youngest is over at Texas Sports. The reason I put this together is because I think sailing is perhaps one of the best lens to learn about all things other than sailing. And so we're using this workshop to learn about the world and history and winds and grid and all the things are kind of being folded into this. So our goal is to build the world's greatest academic or holistic sailing class. So we're using this as a metaphor. The part we're going to talk about today is the grand payoff of what we're doing on the lake. So to give you just a quick background on myself, in 2018, we sold the business and the house and all the other things and bought a boat in France and left with a 5-year-old, 2-year-old, and 1-year-old and sailed around the world for 4 years full-time on a 50-foot cat and logged over 23,000 nautical miles across 18 countries in that time. So I did not know a thing about sailing before we left. We'd never spent a night on a boat, but I found the process of that journey to be really enriching and encouraging, and I learned a tremendous amount along the way. So I really want to pass that forward, and I think that's what we're trying to do, capture a snippet of that as we go into this Bahamas expedition. Cool. I'll keep moving. There's 2 things we're doing with this workshop. One, your kids are already engaged in, that's the sailing part. We're going to teach them how to think about the world around them, how to think about the wind, how to understand how to even look and talk about this stuff. We have a lot of passing weather through Central Texas, and so they'll have plenty of practice in sort of understanding the weather and reacting to it. On the water, we're teaching them to be comfortable and how to work as a team and how to sail. So they're doing that in E420s on Lake Travis, which is kind of like what you see here. The other part of it that we're going to do on a much different boat is more of the sort of like what it means to have seamanship, what it means to travel in the world, what the big level implications of these ideas that we're talking about look like when you dial up the stakes and the scope a bit. So this is a picture of the SV Wonder. It's an 82-foot tall ship with a steel hull that's been used by Boy Scouts of America in years past and currently runs as a day boat out of Key West, Florida. The owner-operator of this boat, a man named Thane Richard, actually operates it as a traveling school. His ambition is to create the Planet School. And so he has a high school full-time curriculum that happened on this boat. They bought this boat. They sailed it all the way up the East Coast, through the canal system to Detroit, brought it down the Mississippi River, and now it's in Key West where it's going to stay for a while. I got to know Thane on just an introduction, and we realized that we valued the same things in the world of education. A big part of that is taking it out of the classroom. And so he's doing that with the Wonder School. And I called him up as soon as we started on this. And I said, I have something really big I want to do with you. Can we use the Wonder to do a real unique workshop? And I have the world's best partner in Alpha Schools, because all the parents, much like myself, are just looking for these kind of adventures and this kind of uniqueness. So yeah, he was very quick to jump on. So in this case, we're going to be looking at, the workshop has grown to become not just about learning how to sail on Lake Travis, but also taking part in planning an international expedition that is also a humanitarian delivery mission. So Publix is kind of Florida's version of HEB, not as good, but they have donated $30,000 worth of goods to the Bahamas in an enduring partnership that actually predates by several decades this journey and this connection between Key West and the Bahamas. This is the trial mission to turn it back on and keep it going for years to come. And so the kids are actually going to take part in planning the entire expedition and joining the last leg of it. In that process, we've already started to break them into teams where they're going to be responsible to look at navigation, provisioning, safety, and logistics. So they have to not only get past myself and Lauren and the other guides, but they have to get past the captain and owner-operator of the Wonder to make sure these plans are thoughtful. And I will say we did this on a rainy day last week, and I was very impressed just to see kids pointing at navigation charts, figuring out, how it all works together and making, smart decisions on that. So this is kind of the big journey that they will be engaged in planning. Another aspect of this, as we continue to just make this bigger and bigger, is that we've actually connected with an organization of schools in the Bahamas. And the hope is that we will actually have 10 to 12 Bahamian students who will be remotely working with the kids as part of one of these teams. And so they'll be interacting together and hopefully developing sort of a working relationship to figure out. I would really like to find a way that we can further emphasize the humanitarian aspect and look at some of the other issues, especially around education in the Bahamas. And so we're going to look for more opportunities to dial up what we're doing already with Publix and working with those kids. Those kids will be part of the journey, so I'm just telegraphing that now. If we look at the actual part where students will go and join the boat, it's far too long, and frankly, it's far too slow to take the kids all the way from Key West to the final destination. So we thought we should give them the most interesting aspect at the tail end of the journey, and of course have the sort of grand entrance at the end of it all. So the plan is that the kids will fly from Houston to Nassau. It's the most economic and efficient way to get in to fly directly. So we would need to organize some sort of transport to Houston. They then need to get to the Exumas. Getting around the Bahamas is not particularly easy. Getting to this part of the Exumas is even more remote. But that's one of the reasons I love this as an opportunity for kids, because the Exumas is you can really only experience it by boat. And I think it'll be many decades before they go back on their own yachts to do it. So I think they should do it now. And so the idea is that we would take a small charter flight from Nassau into Black Point in the Exumas, and we would board the Wonder at anchor for that first night. The next day we sail from Black Point about 20 nautical miles, which is about 3 or 4 hours of sailing. It will get them a chance to sort of do a rotation, feel what it's like to be on the water, to the Exuma Land and Sea Park, which not only has some science activities, but it's also noteworthy as the first marine park in the world that set the example for many more marine parks that were set up. So it is both gorgeous and interesting academically. The other feature of the Exumas, as you can see in this picture, is essentially picture the Exumas as a long chain of barrier islands. And so I definitely know what it's like to get your sea legs. It can happen, but it takes a long time and longer than we have for this journey. Part of the advantage of the inside track of the Exumas is that you really would struggle to find better sailing anywhere in the world. It would be probably like sailing on Sydney Harbor would be something that might be close. You're talking about very flat islands that give you full access to the power of the trade winds, but with no waves coming through because of the barriers. So I'm not saying no one will get sick, but I definitely think we have mitigated to the extent possible the experience, and we want kids to have a great sailing experience and not be sort of fighting the elements. It also means that this is a reliable trip. Nothing that exotic happens with the weather around here. In earlier versions of our design, we were thinking about things where we would need the wind to be this direction or that direction. The trade winds are the trade winds because they're always coming from that spot. So we feel really good about the reliability of this plan. On our next day of sailing, day 3 here, we would move up another 30 miles or so. If we plan for around 6 hours or 6 knots, that means we're sailing for 4 to 5 hours a day, which means that we have a lot of time to land on the beach and do things on the beach and explore. And like the kids will just be very free because there's nothing there other than, a random population of iguanas or pigs or that kind of thing. So the idea is to sort of camp, treat it like a day camp in a way where we're on the beach. We'd have plenty of fun time in the water, on the land, exploring, try and make a dinner over campfire and bonfires at night, and then get back to the boat. We're sleeping on the boat every night, but we are at anchor every night, which is an important distinction. If you've never done this cruising thing, we're going to a place, we're setting up in a great anchorage, and we're sleeping on the boat. You'll never have a better night of sleep than sleeping on a boat, but it's important to me that we don't want to be underway at night. I think it's a safety concern. It's also just not that fun, and I want both of those to be tended to. Like I said, I've done this particular track 3 different seasons, and I've done the many miles around it, so I've kind of figured out for my own kids what the best part of the journey was, and I want to slice off those moments for this short journey. The final day, we'll find ourselves at, we would start the day at the top of the Exumas at Ship Channel K. Again, it's sort of a nothing island that they take day tours to from Nassau. And our hope is that this is where the kids from the Bahamas will actually come over and speedboat over to meet us in Ship Channel K, join the crew, because the boat has a higher capacity limit during day tripping than it does for overnight. So we can expand the crew slightly. They would bring 2 adults and 10 to 12 more kids and join us for the final 30-mile mission into Nassau. We are working with various stakeholders in the Bahamas, so I'll just give you the grand vision of what we're trying to set up, and what's been communicated so far is that there's a possibility that we would be welcomed in by the Bahamian Navy, which, keep your expectations low. I don't think they have any destroyers, but it's still kind of a cool thing to be led into port. And we will be received by their head of state, the appointee of the king, the governor general. We imagine having some sort of landfall event there where the kids can be celebrated. We can have local media and authorities. I would like to engage with the Department of Education over there and just create a wonderful moment where all the kids, hand in hand, will be unloading the goods in a daisy chain fashion off of the Wonder and to their final destination. So it's going to be a great moment. And then we can't get out of the Bahamas that easily. So we actually, to make sure that we have enough time to sail and have fun and enjoy the fact that the kids have earned this over 100 miles of work, we would probably stay on the boat in Marina that night and fly out the next day. So they would fly back on the fifth and final day. We'd fly out something around 2. We'd probably have the kids bust back to Austin at, that evening, 7 or 8. And that's the journey. Anything we should add, Lauren?
Yeah, I think I'm just anticipating questions you guys might have. We're still locking down our final dates right now, but just looking at the calendar, it seems like flight options, and correct me if I'm wrong, Matt, but around the 29th or 30th, and then we would definitely be back in time no later than the Tuesday or Wednesday of the last week of school. We want to make sure everyone is back for 8th grade graduation. That's a huge priority for us. So yeah, we're having a budget meeting today with some of the school stakeholders, and we're hoping to get our final sign off to start actually purchasing tickets. So we're gonna likely do transferable tickets at first, just so that we're not assigning specific tickets to kids yet. And then once we have the dates, I can make those available to you guys too.
Yeah, roughly we're looking at the 31st through that Wednesday, or possibly shifting a day. So 30th to 29th is possible as well. But yeah, kind of in that range. So if there's a known issue in that range, we just kind of want to call that whole period out.
Yeah. Any initial questions from parents here? Or concerns? Open to those as well.
Please.
Do you need chaperones? No, I'm just kidding.
They'll be more than ready after 4 weeks.
Sounds amazing.
It's kind of tentative, but we had a TSA family potentially interested in charting a follow behind boat. So if that becomes a reality and any of you guys are interested, I'll make sure that we provide that to you as well.
Amazing. I'm so jealous.
It's going to be a good time. Yeah, we're really excited. And I think the thing to highlight for this group, obviously, like, it was a very popular, very high demand workshop, and y'all's kids were the ones that I really thought could be strong leaders for the younger group. Like Matt mentioned, we're working with kids as young as 7, 8. So what we've seen so far from them already has been amazing. And we're just making sure that we continue to pull that leadership and teamwork out of them. So I think it's going to be really cool.
No concerns? Should we go bigger? Go ahead.
Yeah.
I've never been on a boat where you sleep in, so forgive me if this is a stupid question, but do they have rooms? How does that work? Because I'm seeing there's probably going to be some girls, I'm guessing some boys. How do you, and then different age groups, how do you manage that?
This there are numerous bunks, probably 3 high below deck, so there won't be that kind of privacy or rooms. It's going to be like kind of one big sleeping area. Some kids, the older kids, you know, if we feel comfortable in the safety in there and them, we'll have the opportunity to go up and sleep on the top deck in a hammock. So that's actually, I won't let the little kids do that. But if you're 13, 14, whatever, and you're gonna make good decisions, like, yeah, you can sleep under the stars, and you've never seen stars like this, and they can have that experience. We looked at even if the kids that did camping before want to like camp on the beach, and I don't think we're gonna do that. But yeah, generally there's not staterooms and that kind of thing. It's like one big bunk.
Yeah, I think my priority is definitely separating by gender as much as possible, and then clumping children of similar age as much as possible. Yeah, that's my initial thoughts. I haven't looked into the layout of this boat specifically too much, but I can do that, and I can let you guys know how I might look at splitting kids up. Great question.
Good question.
Any other questions for right now?
I think it sounds amazing. I'm a sailor too, not near the resume that you have, Matt. I was just in the Ava Coast last year.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, this sounds everything. You
Awesome. Have you sailed the Exumas?
Not the Exumas yet. It's been more of a time thing.
Okay. Yeah, easier to get in now. All right. Well, when you're ready to sail the Exumas, I'll give you all my detailed.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
I can swear like a sailor.
Me too. That's about the extent of it.
No, this is fantastic. It's really amazing. I'm not worried at all. I think this is amazing. Thank you.
Yeah.
I do have one question, I guess. Like, if there was weather, what would you do? You would just pivot? I mean, if you did it for 4 years, then clearly you've navigated all this stuff. But what does happen in the event of weather?
You hold on. So generally the weather by the time you get here in June is much more stable. It's a bit hotter and it's easier to predict. The weather that you're going to get would be passing storm cells, and so you would just kind of wait for them to go by. You stay at anchor and you have a day on the boat while you wait for stuff to pass by. It passes relatively quickly in this area. Obviously, we're not doing this later in the year because your weather becomes much more, much bigger potential. But in June, basically end of May, it's not hurricane season. And if something was very seriously coming in, we would know about it before we ever took off.
Okay. Perfect.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Great question. And I guess if there is nothing else for right now, what we can do, I can cut the meeting and then upload the recording into that Parent Square group for anyone that wasn't able to attend. And I also just want to say thank you guys so much. I know it's hard to take time out of the middle of your day, so really appreciate all the good questions so far. If there's any other concerns or questions that come up, you can either Parent Square me privately or you could put them into that group, and I'll make sure that we get you guys answers as soon as we can.
Thank you guys so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Have a
Thank you guys.
day.
Really well planned.
Bye.
Bye.
Okay, cool. That's how they usually don't have many questions. I think they trust us to get a lot of the safety and logistics worked out. So yeah.
I feel good. I think we're in a good spot. So yeah, we'll share it and let's see what other questions come.
Okay, sounds great. I can follow up in our text with Graham after we get out of the meeting with Steph, just to let you know how that ended up working out.
Okay, cool.
Awesome. Have a great day.
All right. Bye.
Bye.